Hello and welcome to iGCSE Success. And if you're new here, a big hello to you. I'm an English teacher and I post content here on YouTube to prepare students for their Cambridge First Language English exam. And if that's what you're looking for, be sure to check out my other videos on my channel where I break down a number of the core skills needed to succeed with First Language English. So today's video, it's all about persuasive language to help specifically with the directed writing question from paper 1. Now, in one of my previous videos, I mentioned the mnemonic which I use with my students, and that is a ripe forest. And this is a really handy phrase you want to try and remember. And it will be particularly useful if the directed writing question you get requires you to write persuasively. So I will be explaining what each letter stands for, why each technique is particularly useful or persuasive, and I will also provide you with an example. So let's get straight to it. So let's begin with the first letter A. Now A stands for anecdote, and I know some teachers prefer to use alliteration, but for me, I just think anecdotes are an incredibly powerful technique, especially for persuasive speeches and wanting, I guess, to create that relationship with your audience. So an anecdote essentially is a short personal story, and as I've mentioned, they can really help create this relationship with your intended audience and, well, make you seem human, I guess. Anecdotes are also great for evoking emotion, pity, sadness, joy, anger, whatever that may be. So let's have a look at an anecdote. Health and fitness are so important to me. Having been plagued with a number of health issues, so that's the anecdote, during my teens, I know the importance of looking after your body. And of course, if an audience hears some sort of anecdote, they think, gosh, this person's been through what I'm going through, and it creates that relationship. It makes the speaker relatable. Now R is for repetition, and this may be a word or a phrase which has been repeated, usually for emphasis, to, I guess, draw the focus to a certain idea or belief. And let's take a look at an example. It's a terrible idea. It's terrible to even suggest such a thing. And of course, the adjective highlighted in red there, terrible, is repeated very much for emphasis. Now, I stands for imperative. You may know these as bossy verbs. An imperative essentially is a command. These can be really effective in terms of getting your audience to think or feel or act a certain way. For example, imagine this: homework being banned forever, and of course the imperative verb being imagine. Now P stands for pronoun or personal pronouns. Now you want to try and use inclusive pronouns, particularly if you are trying to persuade. So pronouns such as we, us, our, etc. are far more effective than simply using that I voice throughout your piece. Remember, you want to try and create a relationship and a sense of commonality. For example, we all know that this is the only way. We all know that this is the only way. Now, E stands for emotive language. Put simply, it's when we use powerful vocabulary choices to evoke some sort of emotion. For example, innocent animals are left to suffer in silence. And of course, the adjective innocent, the verb suffer, the noun silence are all used to evoke a sense of pity or sadness. Now F stands for facts. So of course, any information that can be verified as being 100% true. Now facts can be a really effective and easy way to strengthen your argument. So one fact could be exercising regularly can help keep you fit and healthy. Now O stands for opinions. Now an opinion, of course, is a view or judgment personal to us. We often use adjectives to tell an audience how we feel about a particular topic. For example, I think online learning can be incredibly rewarding, and of course I've used the adjective rewarding. Some of course may disagree. Now the second R stands for rhetorical question. Probably the most overused rhetorical device, I have to say. However, if used sparingly, they can be an excellent way to get your audience thinking. So just in case you didn't know, a rhetorical question is a question someone asks without expecting a response. For example, do you want things to change around here? I thought so. I guess that's a bit of hyperphora too, but I'll go over that in another video. Now the next E is exaggeration, sometimes referred to as hyperbole or hyperbolic language. It can be used for a number of different reasons, but I advise my students to use it for humour. An exaggeration, put simply, is over-the-top language or expressions. For example, we all know that homework will be the death of us. Of course, I'm grossly exaggerating here for a somewhat humorous effect. So S stands for statistics. So any kind of numbers, percentages, data, etc., to ultimately try and strengthen your argument. And I often ask my students to include statistics in their rhetorical questions. For example, did you know that 64% of people voted against the new policy? Now the last letter T stands for triplets, or sometimes called rule of three. Now triplets is when we use a pattern of three things, perhaps adjectives, as used in the following example. Homework is stressful, laborious, and time-consuming. And again, a really powerful technique to use if used sparingly. And that is the case with all of these techniques. You don't want to go overboard with any of them really. Now, of course, there are plenty of others: sarcasm, humour, chatty style, colloquial language, to name a few. But as long as you try and include a range, guys, you will be just fine. Thanks, guys. And that's all from me today, guys. As always, don't forget to give me a like, subscribe. Any questions, leave them below, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.